We're talking Ball State. Don Shondell and Ray McCallum talking Ball State. Nate Davis and Bonzi Wells. Schumann, Bell Tower, and Worthen. Fans all over from Muncie to Berlin. Getting Cannons, Carters, and Greeks. All right, everyone, welcome to another live edition of Ball State of the Union, your number one Ball State football podcast. By the fans, for the fans. We're talking current headlines, exclusive interviews with Cardinal athletes and coaches, and fun, or maybe not so fun, off-the-wall debates that you will not hear anywhere else. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe on all of your favorite social media platforms. And as always, whether it's a great post-game win or a pretty somber post-game loss, and you hear that song, you know we're about to be talking Ball State. All right, everyone. I am John, your host, joined by, as always, Colin from Ball State Football Talk and Ball State Hall of Famer, Ball State all-around legend, number 3, Willie Sneed. Boys, tough one yesterday. And before we get into it, all the fans out there listening right now, if you want to get involved in the conversation, please feel free to put your thoughts and comments, as long as they're, I guess, somewhat PG-13. We'll see about today in the comments wherever you're listening, whether it's on Facebook, whether it's on YouTube, or whether it's here on Twitter. So before we jump into the game, two quick things as always. Number one, Ball State of the Union is partnering with the Shop Indy. That's www.theshopindy.com. Use that code BSUnion on any stuff that's on their website. It can be Ball State. It can be for the Colts. It can be for the Pacers, the Indiana Fever, the very good Indiana Hoosiers, which I hate saying, but the very good Indiana Hoosiers. Any of the stuff on their site you can use that code BSUnion, and you will get free shipping on your order. So that's the first bit. And then the second bit is always Ball State of the Union is a proud member of the College Huddle, which is a group of nationwide, independently made college sports podcasts. We're a member of it, and we are a proud member of it. So if you are interested in seeing more about that, visit their website, visit their socials, and you can see what they're all about and maybe find some other shows besides Ball State of the Union out there that you might care to watch. So, boys, as we said on the Twitter Spaces yesterday, one of the worst games I can ever remember as a fan of Ball State. It's a crazy roller coaster coming off one of the best wins in maybe the past 4 or 5 years, beating Ohio, the reigning defending MAC champions, the definitive number one team in the conference for everyone. We come off of that. People are excited. People are ready to believe. We're ready to buy back in. And we lose 42-0 the next week. We should never, ever lose 42-0 to any team in the MAC. I'm not saying we should win every single game. I'm not saying we should blow everybody out. 42 point is something that cannot happen. So before I jump into the box score, I want to kind of give it to each of you guys, get your initial, thoughts. I'll start with Willie. Willie, what is just kind of your initial thought, initial takeaway from that, if you want to call it, game yesterday?
Yeah, my initial thoughts. One, I'm just very disappointed in the performance and just how he came out and represented Ball State. That's not what I expected. I don't think anybody expected that type of performance. It was hard to watch at sometimes. It's like because it's when you see them play Ohio with such high energy in that second half, and then be able to pull out the win in that type of fashion. It sparked everybody and got everybody excited because it's just like, like you said, John, that was one of the most memorable wins that we've had in a while. And then to come back the next week on the road against the Western Michigan team that I believe that we stand toe to toe with and that we can go with, any day of the week, and it'd be like a toss up half the time. But, what we put out there, what the guys put on tape, is not Ball State football. That's not, the representation that we imagine when we think Ball State football, because they've worked hard, they've gotten to this point, they've pulled out some good wins this season, but it's like the consistency is not there, and that's what I'm looking for, offensively especially. It's just the consistency is not there, and they took this one on the chin for sure. It's not something that we can't recover from, by any means, but. When you put that out there, man, you give teams an impression that you let teams know who you are, and it'll be interesting to see how Akron comes into Muncie on our homecoming, and how they perform after watching the game that they played against Western Michigan. So obviously disappointed, but this is something that they can get better from, And hopefully, they look at this tape hard and they really just kind of like look at themselves in the mirror. That's the type of game it was, that you got to look at yourself in the mirror and be like, is this really for me? Is this what I want to do? You know, is this what I want Ball State football to look like? At the end of the day. So, um, disappointed, but we got to continue. We got to get better from this.
Mhm. Now, Colin, you were up in Kalamazoo for the game, and we're going to get into kind of your game day experience a little bit more later in the show. But you were there live. What's kind of your initial takeaway from this before we kind of jump into the weeds here?
Yeah. Yeah, I think what we're starting to see is a pattern of just starting too slowly. And then this game, we the offense just never got going, unlike the Ohio game. And the defense was on the field too long. It really feels like maybe the play calling needs a little bit more spice, a little bit more creativity, because like Willie said, Western Michigan is not that much more talented than us. Like, it should not be um, that much of a blowout, So it was a really tough game to be at, and I stuck around um, till the 2-minute warning in the fourth. So you know, it, yeah, I've been hearing, "Hey, go Broncos," and my nightmares, like for real, like while I'm trying to go to sleep. So yeah, it was a tough game, man. Honestly, just all around.
Yeah. So again, for those just joining us, Ball State falls to Western Michigan in a highly anticipated game for Ball State fans, 42-0. Again, that should never be the case here. Quick box score look at here: Kyle Kelly 13-22 for 68 yards. Leading rusher, if you want to even give us one, Quay Ashley 6 carries, 17 yards, only 20 total rushing yards, which is crazy to me. Um, in terms of team stats, there's some shocking team stats on here. Uh, First downs, 25 for Western Michigan, 5 for Ball State. So they out first downed us 5-1. 88 total yards. That's got to be, if that's not a record low for us, that's got to be closer to Western Michigan's 462. There's not much stopping them yesterday. And 3 yards per completion yesterday, and 0.7 yards per rush. So all around, offensively, this offense that we thought has been trending in the right direction, had been getting better every week, took a massive, massive step back yesterday. Defensively, the defense had kind of been, our calling card and our in our couple wins where we get those big stops and those big moments. Almost 500 yards of offense yesterday. Not going to get that done in any stretch of the matter, whether it's you're playing Western Michigan or whether you're playing Center Grove High School. If you play like that, you're not going to be able to get anything done out there, giving up that type of yardage and being that inept on offense. So we'll jump right into the offense. Willie, I'll start with you. What are your main takeaways from one of the worst offensive days that I can ever remember out of Ball State and maybe any football team I've watched?
Yeah, from beginning to end, like I just saw that the offense just had no juice. The explosive plays were close to zero. If we did had one, I can't remember, but there was no explosiveness. Too many times, and Colin mentioned it, we started off too slow.
Mm-hmm.
Normally you want to see the offense go down the field and at least put pressure on them and get 3 or 7, just to kind of shift the momentum into our favor early. But I feel like too many times this season we've gotten the ball of offense. We either went 3 and out or had a steady drive and had to punt after like 6 plays. And honestly, like with the playmakers that we have, I don't know if it's a lack of creativity in the playbook, like Colin said, or if it's just game plan wise, not really trying to get certain guys involved, whether it's on the field or off the field. But honestly, we got to find another playmaker outside of Magwood to kind of take the eyes off of him, because he is a dynamic player when he has opportunities to get one-on-ones or run through the zones. But we have to have a number 2 guy. Ty Robinson's flash. Weatherly, we've tried to get him going. He had like 5 catches, but really only I think only had 4 yards. But we just have to find that number 2 guy. Somebody has to emerge, number 2, number 3 guy, to take pressure off of Magwood, to take pressure off of Kelly, to make every single throw on every single like down. He has to do something special to continue to get the offense going. And then the run game, it was pretty non-existent. Western Michigan, I give them credit. They attacked the line of scrimmage. They were way more physical than us in the trenches. And I think that kind of shifted the momentum into our favor most of the game because we didn't really recover after they scored those 2 times. And then we ended up fumbling. An exchange between Kelly and Dougal. So, when you do that stuff, man, it's really hard to get into a rhythm, man, especially when we don't have, Coach Shu has only been in, they've only been in his system for less than a year. Um, and I can speak on situations where we were in Pete Lembo's first year of his era. We won some games and then we lost some games that, honestly we should have won, we could have won. Um, but sometimes you just have these games, John Collin. It's just like, it makes you scratch your head, but at the same time, maybe this is what the team needed, kind of this chin check moment, test of character, honestly, to see how guys respond, because this is a game they probably could have won if they came to play with a better mentality. Um, but now that they can see that we're not that good, we're not as good as we think we are. You know what I mean? Like to beat the reigning MAC champs, to come off of that and then put up this performance, we're not as good as we think. We still have a lot of areas we can grow. Guys have to still emerge and be that guy for this offense, especially. But you know, I really think this is something that they can grow on, but they have to do it fast. Because the season is going. We're about to be in Game 6. That's half the year gone. So they just have to figure it out quick, John. And if they do that, they got to do it. This weekend against Akron, who's a formidable opponent, one we should beat. Um, but at the end of the day, if I'm Akron and I'm looking at that tape from Western Michigan, I believe I can come in there and get and steal a dub at the shoe. So we have to make sure that doesn't happen with a great week of preparation. And we just got to look at that film hard, man, and kind of just grow from it and not really beat ourselves too much about it.
Yeah, because like you're saying, this season, while it feels like we just started, we're
Hmm.
getting into it here. And so sitting at 2-4 and how this schedule is playing out here, everything that you want for this season to be considered a success is still in front of you. But your margin of error is getting smaller and smaller with each of these losses. So, Colin, you were in the house yesterday. Offensively, what did you notice watching from the stands? And what was kind of your overall takeaway on the offensive side of the ball yesterday?
Yeah, it's kind of tough, right? Because I mean, there's not a lot of tape there. I mean, you said it yourself, 5 first downs. A lot of these drives were, like Willie said, either 3 and outs or we get 1 first down and go from there. But I think what I'm seeing is like everybody knows I'm a big Kyle Kelly supporter, but something is happening like in the pass game, and I think Willie hit the nail on the head. Like we went to Keon early, and he's making people miss, trying to do his thing, trying to get a little space. But after we go to him a couple times in a row, it becomes obvious he's the guy. And then at this point, we need somebody else in the pass game to step up because then they're just going to key on the run because they know Kyle can run, they know Quay can run. We got to have somebody else in the pass game step up early, not in the third quarter when we're already down 28-0. We need somebody to step up early and help Keon and help Kyle. I think that's really it. Like it's not nothing was good, John. I mean
Mhm.
it's pretty quick and easy for me. There was no sustained success. There were no long drives. Just really rough. I mean, it was
Yeah.
hard to watch.
Yeah, and so 2 other things that I wanted to point out about the offense that was different this week than we'd seen the last few weeks. Number 1, the offensive line. The offensive line have been keeping things pretty clean for the most part. You know, they gave up 5 sacks yesterday, and there was Western Michigan had 10 tackles for loss in total. So that's something that's a little bit different than we've seen. Obviously, Western Michigan has a very good defense. We knew that before that game going into it, and we obviously saw that yesterday. But they've had games where they give up no sacks here this season already, and to see 5 is a big difference. Number 2, we've been holding on to the ball pretty well. 2 turnovers yesterday. Now Western Michigan had 2 as well, so they kind of washed each other out. But if you don't turn those 2 balls, if you can get in a scenario where you don't turn those 2 balls over, and you can have that 2 possession advantage that you've gotten in weeks past where we haven't turned the ball over, that's a huge advantage. Now, would it have mattered yesterday? I don't really know, but the offensive line had a pretty rough day yesterday, and then we're starting to put the ball on the ground again, kind of like we were at the very beginning of the year. we were putting it on the ground. We kind of stopped, and then we're kind of back into it now. So I didn't like seeing either of those two things. On top of all the stuff you guys said. So okay, Willie, we'll go back to you now. Let's go to the defensive side of the ball. Obviously, the big story coming into it has been this pass rush that they had. Nathan Flores, all this front seven, this defensive line. No sacks yesterday. We're one of the better sack teams in the entire country. What did you see from the Ball State defense yesterday that was maybe different, or what did you just notice in general?
Yeah, I thought the defense, honestly, the score doesn't reflect this, but I thought the defense early played solid. Um, it was hard for them because I believe they were on the field too long. You mentioned that, Colin. And they just really had no time to recover. Western Michigan was getting the ball out pretty quick, so this rush couldn't get there as fast. Guys were making plays on their end on Western Michigan side. So, there was obviously we want to be able to do better on defense, but when you're on the field that long, um, and the offense isn't helping you out by getting either at least getting down the field, at least taking some time off the clock for you to be on the sideline or getting points to kind of match what Western Michigan was doing because they were clicking on offense. Besides like the first couple of drives, after they got their first two touchdowns and that turnover, it was kind of like a downhill. And it was nice to see actually McLean got a pick. I think in the third quarter or fourth quarter, that was good to see. Them to get a turnover. McCargo had 6 tackles between Stemler, Fields, and Whitner. They had 5 tackles. So, guys were flying around. Guys were playing hard on defense. That's something that, that was lacking early in the season, especially in the secondary. But, honestly, I thought they made plays when they had to. Obviously, they didn't make every play because Western Michigan was, they were on point, man. We got to give them their flowers. They just knew what they wanted to do offensively, and they attacked us in the right way. Things were going in their direction early, and that momentum kind of just built all the way up to what you see the final score to be. So, I think defense can definitely build on this. They just got to continue to tweak things in the secondary. The miscommunication is obviously evident because there was a couple of times when, guys were just running wide open for Western Michigan, and they either missed the throw or they connected for an explosive. So. Number 18 for Western Michigan, man, he's a dog. He's a freshman, so he had a pretty good game. But honestly, like I think our defense can continue to get better. But it's hard when we're not playing complimentary football. You know what I mean? When we're playing complimentary football, the offense is moving and putting up points. Our defense feeds off of that. You know what I'm saying? And I don't think the defense had anything to feed off of. And at one point in the game, you just saw, Western Michigan was just getting whatever they wanted. So like I said, it was hard to watch, but I think the defense had, a solid day. But I mean, the score doesn't reflect that, so it's like, to each its own. It's in the eyes of the beholder at that point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they gave him a short field on. They tried to run that kind of end around, gave him a short field there, and then you're talking about the time of possession. There's about a 11-minute difference in time of possession. So anytime those guys are getting off the field to catch their breath, they're pretty much instantly going right back out there. So
Right.
tough situation to do if you can't get these guys a rest from time to time. So, Colin, again, we were very excited coming off of last week in the performance, and those sack numbers we saw. Didn't see it yesterday. What's kind of your main takeaway defensively from what you saw in the stands?
Yeah, you guys pretty much said it. I mean, we put them in a lot of bad positions. The offense did. Um, we didn't give them any time to breathe. Short fields, you know, didn't really get the pass rush going. I don't know, maybe had 1 sack, maybe. Um, yeah, they just really got whatever they wanted. Anything they wanted was there. So, you know, I don't there's not really any positive there either, John. It's like Roman Pearson got the pick. Um, you know, the only positive I can really think of is special teams this game, John. This is a really tough game to break down because I think we just need we the team should just wipe the slate on this one. There's I don't even know that there's really anything to take from it other than you can't buy into your own hype,
Mm-hmm.
We bought in, but we're podcasted. You know what I mean? The
Mm-hmm.
team cannot be bought in. So, buying into the own hype. So I don't know if that's what it was or but yeah, defense was not good. it was also hard to watch.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So again, anyone out there listening right now, be sure to get your comments, your thoughts in. This was, a crazy game in terms of, Ball State lore, especially coming off this big win. So again, sound off, put in your questions, put in your comments. We want to hear from you. We want to have a conversation with all the fans out there. So put your comments, questions, anything in the chats on Facebook, on YouTube, and on Twitter, and we'll read them all at the end of the show. So,
John,
yeah.
I'm shell shocked. That's what it is. I'm just shell shocked after being at the game. Like, I'm almost like traumatized from the game. Like, it was crazy. It was crazy.
Now, you wanted to shed a little bit of light on one of the positives you had, and so we'll jump
Yeah,
jump right into special teams. Your
yeah.
guy got a lot of action yesterday. He flipped the field a couple times. He had some nice punts. Tell us about Adam
It looked
Snall.
good.
How'd he look? And maybe just the special teams in general. I guess there wasn't really much else. It's basically just
Yeah.
him.
Yeah, he carried. We were in danger a lot, and he kind of would flip the field, get us out of it. Even on one of his punts, somebody muffed it. The dude got popped, and we recovered it. That
Yeah.
was one of the big highlights of the game where
Yes.
I was standing up,
Mm-hmm.
cheering, super excited. I think there's only like two moments like that. So I got to give a big up to special teams. Like they definitely had some highlights of the game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Willie. I mean, I don't really know what you would have on that, really, because it's basically just punting. There was obviously the muffed punt, but you know, it from a player perspective or what you know of punters, what's a game like that for them? Is it just like they're like, man, I'm just out here nonstop? Is it like, are they relishing the fact that they're getting to punt all the time? Kind of how does that go from a punter from the best that you know?
Well, it's just like, special teams is that third phase that we always talk about each week about flipping the game in our favor. And that was a moment that we missed, because that was an awesome kick. Put it up there, made it hard for the guy because the guys were running down the field and just had bodies around them. Ended up muffing it, taking a shot, and we end up recovering it. And that's like when we're on the opposite, when we're on their 40, we have to take advantage of those moments. And I think we went 3-and-out, or we just kind of like just stalled the drive, and we didn't even get points out of it. You know what I'm saying? So it's like a great opportunity like that, a moment in the game where it's just like this is the chance where we can kind of take momentum from these guys, and we just did nothing with it. But I think special teams played pretty solid for the game. That was a great moment. It did have the highlights, for sure. The punter did a great job just, all day putting them in bad field position, but Western Michigan just went down the field every time for the most part and, kind of had their way. But special teams is always going to play a factor, man. It's just going to, predicate on the offense or the defense if we can make the most out of that opportunity, because those are the chances, those are the plays that we have to steal and get points out. We have to get some kind of points in those moments, man, because it in the opposite team, it just puts it in their head. It's just like, all right, this happens. But for us, it's like, yes, let's go. This is what we needed. You know what I'm saying, to get us going, because it's always going to come down to these moments, right? When we're on the road, we're in a hostile environment. You know, we don't really have any juice. We don't have any fans, from what I heard. You know what I'm saying? So it's tough, and you wait for those moments where you can silence the crowd. You know what I'm saying? We just did not take advantage of the opportunity, John. So that was hard to see. Just that play happen, being excited that we finally got a turnover on special teams. Right? That's what we've been talking about the past couple of weeks, is getting a turnover in special teams to kind of put the game in our favor, and we just did nothing with it. So we gotta that's got to be fixed, man. We got to take advantage of those opportunities because they're going to come again. We have a great punter, so when we punt, we have a good chance of either flipping the field really good and putting them in bad position, or now obviously putting the ball on the ground and stealing a possession.
So I had one more question. Now I'm sitting here thinking about it. And I guess either of you can chime in, Willie. This you might have a little bit better perspective on this, but Colin, you're a coach, so you could probably chime into this as well. So one thing that we thought we were going to see coming into this season, special teams wise, was we thought we were going to see a lot of production on the kick return from Quay Ashley. He was an All-American kick returner at Kennesaw State. This was something we were expecting to see. We were expecting to see him on offense, and we're supposed to expecting to see him really shine on this. Are teams just not giving him the chance to return kicks? Are they just, because they only had 3 returns yesterday in total, and obviously they scored a bunch of points. So Are they just kicking it out of the back of the end zone to avoid him? What's kind of like on kickoff cover is the thought process in a scenario like that, Willie, where you have a really good kick returner? Is it just, hey, you're not going to beat us, or is it just he's not taking advantage of the opportunities? What's kind of your thought on that?
It could be a little bit of both. I mean, teams have pretty strong leg kickers, that try to put it out the end zone just to not give them a chance.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes they slip up. Sometimes they'll kick it short. Sometimes they'll put it on the ground, and it just depends on what the opportunity looks like and if he takes advantage of it. The fact that he was an All-American kick return makes him dangerous in that sense. But we just haven't seen it yet. We haven't seen that lane open up for him to kind of just hit it and then get into space and take it all the way. So from my point of view, I haven't seen it yet. I haven't really seen him get the chance to, whether it was a missed block and him having to break a tackle and kind of take it all the way. I haven't seen a lane yet open up for him so that he can kind of show what he can do in that aspect. But it's hard to return kicks because teams cover well that are well coached. But when we do get the opportunity, man, that's why I continue to say is just special teams has to make a play for us in a game where we flip the odds in our favor. Because we're always going to be down, right? We're always going to be the underdog, so to speak, right? So we have to figure a way to steal possession here and there in games, right, to kind of put the odds in our favor for us to win. So yeah, I'm still ready to see. I haven't seen it yet, honestly, John, from the kick return standpoint, but I know he's got wheels because I've seen him
Mm-hmm.
break for like 40, 70-yard touchdown runs. So he can run. It's just, is he having that lane, that opening for him to kind of just hit it and then take it to the house?
And is that something more these lanes you're talking about
Hmm.
from like producing the lanes? Is that more
Yeah,
on Ball State to do, like produce them, or is it more just
yeah.
waiting for whoever you're playing to make a mistake? How's kind of that? How do those come about?
Honestly, it's the scheme, like the way they block it up, or the way coaches got them blocking it up, and if they block it up perfectly, there should be a lane there for him to hit. Now,
Mm-hmm.
you got to give the other team credit too because they're on scholarship,
Mm-hmm.
so they're running down the field full speed, and there might be a guy that go outside his lane and kind of just go make a left turn somewhere, and then it just opens up a huge hole that you can kind of see. But mostly, I mean, honestly, it's all on the scheme. If it's blocked up perfectly and there's a lane, because that lane is like this and then it disappears, quick. So it's like it happens in a moment's notice. So you gotta have an elite returner back there that can kind of like set it up, set up blocks to where you manipulate guys to move one way, and it sets up the block for his blocker for him to cut and then kind of hit the hole that is created now by just leverage. That's all kick return is. All the good kick returns is on leverage. Finding that leverage and then kind of taking advantage of from the returner standpoint and setting up his blocks and then kind of finding that crease.
Mm-hmm. Colin, you had something else you wanted to say here too?
Yeah, I almost wonder with Quay on the kick returns if there isn't like a lingering injury going on from that Ohio game. Because I remember I was standing on the sideline, or I'm in the shade at halftime of the Ohio game, and the equipment guy Shay came up to me and he's like, "Is Quay still hurt? Like, what's going on with that?" And I hadn't even realized he had been injured. But since that point, TJ Horton looks faster, and I might even prefer him running the kickoffs back because he just looks more elusive, like with more big play potential. Right now, it almost looks like Quay is running with like weights on his ankles a little bit, like something's not fully right. And I don't want to speculate too far, but it doesn't seem like he's 100% right now. So I don't know if maybe it makes sense to put TJ Horton back there to have him kick return. They might even already be doing that, have him back there with Quay,
Mm-hmm.
but that's definitely something that I expected in the offseason to take off that we haven't really seen. I don't know if you remember this, John, but it just came to me when we had our friend Dave, aka
Oh,
BSU Edits on Instagram on,
mm-hmm.
and his wife was kind of like going at it with sidelines. And so we had her on a little bit, and she mentioned her her like what was it? Her hot take, her preseason hot take
Mm-hmm.
was Quay Ashley was going to break the kick return record for Ball State. And at the time, that seemed like a pretty good hot take because he's coming in here, and that's what everybody's saying about him. And we just have not seen that yet halfway through the season at all. Our big kick returns and punt returns have actually come from TJ Horton, I'm pretty sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So again, anyone out there listening, be sure to get in your comments, your questions, anything you want. We want to have a conversation with the chat. We got a bunch coming in already. Put them in the chat wherever you're watching, on YouTube, on Facebook, or on Twitter, and we'll read them all at the end of the show. So Willie, I had a couple questions for you as our resident Ball State Hall of Famer, decade plus NFL career, man. Some things that me and Colin wouldn't be able to answer. So I want to take this to you, and you tell me your thoughts on some of these questions. So the first one, again, 42-0, one of the worst losses I can remember in a long time, off of one of the biggest wins. When you're in the locker room, you're on the sideline during this game, halftime, after the game. What is that like? Because I'm sure these guys were hyped up. They were ready to go, thinking that this is going to be a big game, and obviously it didn't end up being that way. What's what's it like in the locker room and the sideline as a game like this happens?
Yeah, it's frustrating. You know what I'm saying? Like you put in all this work, and I remember when we played Temple back in 2011. I was a freshman, and I didn't even touch the field. I was kind of just dressed out, but like you could just see the emotions on the guy's face, just and you know that we're better than this, right? We know that we're way better than what we're playing right now. And you're just trying to keep a positive mindset all game, kind of psych yourself out, especially at halftime. It's 0-0, man. We got to come back. We got to do what we need to do. Like we right there. It's kind of talking yourself up because at the same time, it's like that you can make a play. It only takes one play to change the game, and you're always having that positive mindset until you know the inevitable is about to happen, and there's no chance that you have winning this game. And after the game in the locker room, man, it's just really a lot of self check. You know what I'm saying? Not really pointing the fingers. You don't ever want to do that because everybody's got their own hand in this type of loss. Um, and you just got to be able to come together in those moments, and you define yourself what type of team you have that year. It's like, do we have the right guys in this locker room to be able to overcome a bad loss like this, especially when we know we're better than this? It's not that we're a bad team. It's just we had a bad performance. And Western Michigan was clicking that day. Like I continue to say, give them their credit, man, because they came out, they had the right mindset to come out and take it to us, and they were well coached. They had a great game plan and they executed. So, at the same time, it's just for us, it's having that right mindset as a man to know it's just like, look, I ain't playing my best football, but I definitely got to get better because we can't have a season like this. There's a lot of seniors in there that's this might be it playing football. Not everybody has a chance to play football after college. I was very fortunate and blessed to have the years I did, and I know a lot of guys who have very talented that don't get an opportunity. And if this is it, like they got to check themselves quick and be able to come around this week and have a great week and be able to come out on Saturday and rewrite what happened last week. Like this Akron game is the most important game of the year, in their eyes. And that's the way it was for me in those games that I had, because I had plenty of them where we got blown out both in college and in the NFL, right? Like you got to be able to come back the next week and act like it never happened, and we got to get better from it. But if guys continue to linger on that, if they, at a point in the game when it's going to get tough, like we turn the ball over or they score a touchdown back to back, it's like, what kind of team are we going to be? Are we going to dwell on that loss and bring it into this week, or are we going to rewrite what we saw last week? That's on the guys, man. It's all mentality, John. It's them having the right mindset and handling these games the right way, because they can define your season. Honestly, if those guys don't check themselves and come together, because this is a come together game, and that coaching staff, they got to be on their P's and Q's, man, because anybody's good in the MAC, man. It's just we see the scores, right? But it's like any given Saturday, bro, if you don't bring your A game, you can get blown out, and that's what that type of game showed. So this is a game we could definitely get better from. I remember we lost to Temple, lost 42-0, came back the next week, played Ohio, and won 23-20. You know what I'm saying? We started the year off 3-1 before we went to Oklahoma and got our teeth kicked in. You know what I'm saying? But we came back, got blew out again, and that was like being blown out twice and then going to play Ohio, who's a formidable MAC opponent. Like, there's a lot of strong men in that locker room that year in 2011. So without those guys, those strong men, individuals that are leaders on the team, captains on the team, it's time for those guys to step up and lead the young guys who honestly never been in this position, right? Like Ball State football's been in this position, but guys on the team, they gotta learn how to come out of these type of games. They gotta learn how to handle wins the right way. It's all mental, dog. So, hopefully they learn from this and they have a right mindset going into next week because that's the most important game of the year is the next one.
Mhm. So like you said, you've been involved in a handful of these games throughout your career, whether it be in
Hmm.
college, whether it be in the NFL. So
Yeah.
put yourself on the 2025 Ball State Cardinals now. You suffer this loss. You get on the bus. You get back to Muncie. You wake up today. What is your plan, or what do you want to see from the rest of your players and coaches from today until next Saturday?
Gotta watch the tape. Gotta watch the tape and learn from it. It's gonna be gruesome. It's gonna be hard. I know when they went in there this morning, it was probably a ghost town in there. Wasn't nobody talking. No,
Mhm.
everybody's just waiting for the tape to watch it, to get it over with, to learn from it. And then once you hit that weight room, because I know they work out probably right after the film sessions, that workout is like a reset button. You got to reset, man, in your mind. Because it's like, yeah, we're going to talk about it because that's all we have right now. But for them, this never happened. You know
Mhm.
what I'm saying? That's the only way they have a chance to be accurate. And they got to have a great week of preparation. The coaches have to put a great game plan in front of them, and they're at the shoe again, right? Like that's the mentality I got. Okay, we're got another home game. We playing Akron. We know we can dog them. We know we can dominate them. If we on our A game, if we're on our A game and we have a great week, we know we're supposed to be Akron, right? So that's the kind of the mentality they have. They got to have coming into this, and um, like I keep saying, John, like this, the next game is the most important game of the year, and this can get them back on track and start this run, Colin. Like you talked about, it's just we're in a position where everything is right in front of us, like you said, John. But we got to win these games. We got to win these winnable games, right? We got to be consistent. Like that's the biggest thing I don't see right now is consistency, especially on the offense, but consistency as a team to know the kind of brand that we want to play and we put it on people. It might not be the prettiest, but it's like we got to be competitive, right? And the only way we can do that is we're consistent in everything that we do. And that's the biggest thing I want to see is just the consistency as an offense to continue to grow, right? We took a step back, 2, 3 steps back as an offense, as a team, honestly. But, you know, I think, like you said, everything is right in front of us. We just got to have the right mindset and attack this week like it's the last week of playing football. 1-0 every week.
Mhm. Yeah, and
Hmm.
you hit on something right there at the end. It seems like their main goal, their main talking point is we strive to be better every single week. We want to be better from
Hmm.
the week this week to next week. And I think they have done that every single week this season. I think they've hit that goal except for this week. I don't think they did
Right.
this week. Colin, I know you had something else you wanted to throw in there.
Yeah, so if I spin this positively, we just ran into a buzzsaw with Western Michigan, but we still have a 4-game stretch coming up here that's easily winnable. So, not easily winnable, but
Mhm,
very winnable. So we got
mhm.
Akron, we've got a down NIU, we've got Kent State, and then we've got Eastern Michigan. All 4 of those teams still after taking a 42-0 beating to the face live. I still believe that we're better than those 4 teams, and I think the Miami, Ohio game is gonna be a scrap too. So I still think there's 5 winnable games on the schedule. We just need to win 4, make it to the bowl game. I think everybody says that's a very successful season. So if we want to look at it half glass full, I think Western Michigan is probably the best team in the MAC right now. They beat Toledo. They beat us, who just beat Ohio. They're on a 3, maybe 4-game win. I think 3-game win streak now. Hottest team in the MAC. I think come towards the end of the season, we'll see they're in that top tier, at least top 4 in the MAC.
So I have a question for you about coaching, Colin. I want to get to in a second, but you were talking about this upcoming schedule. So what we saw
Hmm.
from Ball State yesterday obviously looked very bad. Colin, what we saw from Kent State yesterday looked pretty good. Are you getting nervous about this potential bet that you have out there?
Yeah. Not really, because honestly, like my UMass brothers, the Curse of You, I'm gonna give them a big shout out. And then I love following like Sage Curry Hicks. I was just listening to the whole thing last night while I fell asleep. And so I love UMass, okay? Don't get me wrong, I love their fans. Um, but that is the worst team I've seen in college football ever. Ever, John. And I just got done watching Kent State last year, not win a game, lose to the FCS. I just got done watching us get blown out 42-0 to Western Michigan. And Kent State is probably worse than last year. Their defensive coordinator left with just 30-something days before the season started to go to North Dakota. The OC steps up to head coach, and then you get blown out by them. Like John, that's unacceptable. I love UMass. Shout out to UMass, but Kent State blowing out UMass did not impress me, John. No, it did
Okay.
not.
Okay. I had one more question about this game with you, Colin, and it's about coaching. You're a newer football coach now. The last this year, right? Is this your first year coaching?
Yeah, it is.
So my question for you would be, what would be your message if this was your team and you were in the room today? What would be
Yeah.
your message to the team after what we saw yesterday?
I would just say blank slate. Like we didn't play how we wanted to play. I don't think anybody on the team really played how they wanted to play, maybe other than Adam Saul. Um, and just from the start of the game, we have that big kick return and then penalty, and it gets taken back. So like from the jump, we weren't right. That wasn't us on the field. That was not the same team as last week. We're better than that. We know we're better than that. We got to have a good week of practice. And you can only do one day at a time. You can't go back in time. You can't fix the mistakes. You can't dwell on it too much. All you can do is go forward. So I would just tell the team, honestly, we know we're better than that. I believe in them. I know they're better than that. We got some dogs in this room, and we're gonna see that come the next game. And I have 100% full faith in them. So that's what I would tell them. I would just tell them I believe in them. I love the team. We're brothers. We're family. Nobody point fingers. You know what I mean? Everybody stick together. Just get tighter now. You know what I mean? The back's against the wall. So just all we can do is fight. Like it's just gonna be us. Like nobody's gonna feel sorry for Ball State. Nobody's gonna um, say, well, they just came off a big win. They're a young team. They're this and that. No, nobody's going to have any. They're just going to say, wow, they just got blown out. Like that last game was a fluke. We got to prove something. So that's what I would say, John.
And Willie, Colin mentioned something there, and I know we talked about this on the last show. We've talked about it for a while now, and it's these starts. We're getting off to bad starts every week. I think we punted every drive, our first drive every single game so far. We've ended in a punt. We haven't scored on open drive. We haven't started the game yet with a lead. Why is that? Is there a way we can fix this? Is that just how it's going to be? Is it like, can you explain these slow starts?
It comes down to coaching at the end of the day. Like I wish sometimes I was in the room because I'm also a coach myself. I've been coaching the last 5 years
Mm,
while I've been dibbling and dabbling in it, coaching high school football. And one of the things I love about it is as an offensive coordinator, it's like you have these first 15 plays, and I learned this in the league too. It's like you have these first 15 plays of the game that you run that you know your quarterback knows, like the back of his hand, and he's executed them all week, but it's just the reason those 15 plays is so you can get your in a rhythm, get your offense in a rhythm, your quarterback feeling good and starting to get into a rhythm of how he wants to play in the game. Instead of just starting off the game and just calling plays. You know what I'm saying? It's like you have these first 15 plays that you know that you're running him. He can read it. He can actually take the offense and run it because he knows exactly what play is coming, right? And obviously, when you get to third down situations, that changes. You have to change the call. But it's like these 15 plays are the meant for the offense to get into a groove, to obviously put points on the board so you can get the momentum early. That's why, from the Sean Paytons of the world to the Kyle Shanahan's, these guys have these plays because when they've executed them all week, they're getting your playmakers the ball in space. You're establishing the run. You're getting your quarterback feeling good, whether he's rolling out of the pocket or just finding completions quick and early so that he can start to feel good. When we start trying to trick teams in the beginning of the game and trying to, do misdirection, it's like, you're challenging them early. It's like you haven't shown anything for them to believe that we're going, we've run the ball so damn much. There's no way they can't even think about the reverse or the end around, right? So I just think like when it comes to the start of the games, it's like we have to find a way for Kyle Kelly to get in a rhythm early, whatever that is, whether that's running read option or doing quick plays like hitches and spot routes or throwing a screen to outside. Right, it's just getting Kyle Kelly feeling good and in a rhythm because too many times he just looks flat. It's like there's no like juice or momentum from the start. It's like flat. we get punched in the face, right? Now we have to do something. So now Kyle Kelly has to make a play, or we has to make this throw, right? It's like it's not just make the throw, give the run, read the end, right? It's just like it's not fluid, and that's the biggest thing I see in the beginning of the games. It's just like the fluidity, that momentum. We starting to build it up. We starting to see it happening, and then boom, touchdown, or we get an explosive, right? Like I haven't seen that yet in the beginning of games, but throughout the game, right, we're trying to play catch up, or we're trying to respond to them scoring a touchdown. Now we have to call plays to get more plays, explosive plays, right? But we haven't earned them. We haven't established them, right? We haven't shown them anything to make them believe that we're not going to do something else, right? So uh, that's the biggest thing. Is just I'm not one of the coaches there, right? So it just you really just see the coaching aspect of it from an offensive standpoint. It's just like is he connected with Kyle Kelly in that way to be able to get the most out of him, right? Because this is Coach U's first year, right? Kyle Kelly was playing corner last year, right? So it's not essentially his guy, but he's trying to make it work with him in his system, within his realm, right? So Coach U's been doing this for a long time. He's been an offensive coordinator in different places at Temple University. He was a head coach at Butler, right? So he has the formula, right? It's not fluid yet. It's not flowing yet. Kyle Kelly hasn't figured it out yet to understand the play calling in that way. So there's a connection there that still has to be built. John, unfortunately, it's going to take more than 6 games for it to look fluid and crisp. But they're working against the time right now, and this is Kyle Kelly's last year. He's not like he can come back next year and build off of what he did last year, right? This is it. So, he's trying to make it, I'm sure he's trying to find, plays for Kyle Kelly to be able to get the most out of the system, right? What he wants to do. But, traditionally, he's not the traditional kind of quarterback that we want to see, right? To be able to make every single throw, you know, that drop back guy. That's not Kyle Kelly. Like, you have to kind of fit to what he does well. And then once you get the run established, now it opens up shots down the field. And Kyle Kelly obviously can make those. He can throw the back shoulder, like he can make throws, but he's just not the traditional quarterback. So there's a connection piece that has to be continue to be worked on, John. If we want to see that offense start to be more explosive and quick strike in the beginning of the game, like we want to see, man. Because I honestly believe, like, and we haven't played yet this type of brand of football, but we go out on the first drive and score a touchdown and see how the other team plays and see how our defense plays when we're in front, right? Because too many times our defense has been playing from behind to be able to stop teams to get, like it's not the defense being out there like, oh, we about to shut them down, right? We could get to 14-0. Like, what does our defense look like when we're playing ahead? And I think that's the type of game we haven't tapped in yet. We've seen the Ball State and how they play from behind. Sometimes they come back and win, sometimes they don't. But what does the Ball State team look that plays ahead, right? That's when we're clicking on all cylinders. We haven't seen that yet.
Mm-hmm.
Willie, I got a follow up to that. Is it harder for a team to start fast when they're a run first team and the opposition knows going into the game that you're a run first team?
Yeah, I would use that against them, right? Like they know that we're going to run the ball, right? They're going to be set up to stop the run, right? So that should set up us for play action early, right? Rollouts, fake the read, roll out, get Kyle Kelly in space, right, to where he's an option to run and throw, and then you establish it early that you're not going to just play the run every down, right? Because they wanted Kyle Kelly to throw the ball. They said this game, and you have a better perspective than I do, that they were not going to let them beat us running the football, right? They shut down the run. They made Kyle Kelly pass the football. They tested our concepts in the passing game, right? So it can be difficult to establish the run at first, but you have to have plays off of those runs that marry together real nice so that it looks the exact same, but it's a pass play, right? And I think once you do that, now you got the other team on their heels, right? They can't play downhill. They can't just fly to the football, right? Or we'll roll out on a play action and just hit the linebackers right over the top and get an explosive for like 20, 30 yards. I haven't seen that brand of football yet, right? They know we're running the football, we run the football. Right? It's like you making the O line job so much harder. It's hard to block an 8-man front when they're going downhill, right? We want to see a little delay in the linebackers, right? Because they think we've already been downhill and they killed us on the play action, right? So now they got to play back a little bit, which gives our O line more time to be on double teams to get to the backers, and then now you find creases for T.J. Horton and Quay Ashley to run through. So it's got to marry up, Colin. Right? It's got to marry up, and make the run look like the pass, and make the pass look like the run, and that way it's like you keep the defense guessing. Right? If the defense knows, we in trouble. You gotta keep them guessing, dog.
I got one more question too, Willie. So
Yeah.
the one player that not I haven't been disappointed in because it's not that he's not giving us something. I don't think we've been utilizing him correctly. I want to know, how do we get Eric Weatherly going? Because coming into this year, he was a guy that I was like, man, he's going to be a problem. And I still think he could be. But I don't know if we're not drawing up the right plays, or if we're not using him right. But him and Keon together with the Donovan Hamilton, like, as a big guy, yeah,
Mhm.
I just don't know. Like, what are we doing wrong, Willie? What should we be doing to get somebody like Eric Weatherly going?
It's hard to say because I haven't been around Weatherly to see like what he can do. Like if he's a great route runner, what routes he runs good, right? But if I was looking, and you guys might laugh at me, I might be using him like Debo Samuels, like a running back type of, because he's built like that, right? He's the Iron Cardinal, which basically says like he's the strongest dude in the weight room, pound for pound. This is who Eric Weatherly is. He is pound for pound the strongest dude on the football team, right? They have, if you ever go into a Ball State weight room, they have an iron cardinal wall, and it's basically every year there's like a strongest dude on the team pound for pound, right? 2025 was Eric Weatherly. So this dude is strong as hell. He's probably fast and explosive, right? But he might not be as shifty and sudden at receiver, right? I never seen him in routes. I don't know, right? But if we're talking about a passing game, I would put him in position to just where he just gets the ball quick, right? Whether it's a 5 yard hitch or a 5 yard slant, like get the ball to this man early, so when he has a ball in his hands, he becomes more explosive. And that's why I said, like, if I was using him at running back, I would be motioning him. He'd be at receiver. We would motion him in the backfield, and we'll kind of use him in different designed ways to be able to get the most out of this kid. Because yes, he's talented. We all can agree, right? Eric is talented. We expect a lot from this kid coming in. He just hasn't been utilized right, like you said. And there's different ways to use guys like that because they all have strengths, right? His strength might not be running a go ball down the field trying to catch it over the top. Because I remember they took a shot during the game, right, in like the third quarter to this kid,
I think
and he
that was
wasn't
to
able to.
Durham.
There was
Elijah Durham,
Durham,
I think, got to.
number 14, right?
Yeah, yeah. That's Durham.
He had one early in the game. They took a shot. I like that play call. But later in the game, they tried to get Weatherly on the outside and throw him a go ball, and the dude batted away. It was like a third down play, right? Like that might not be the best way to use that kid. So, it goes down. It comes back down to just coaching and just scheming up different guys to get open. Because from what I see, like Durham, McDougal, Weatherly, those are like my slot guys. Ty Robinson, Magwood. Magwood, you can use in so many different ways, right? He can play inside, outside. You can motion him in the backfield. He could probably give you a couple plays from that, right? But it's just all eye candy at the end of the day. Like when you bring guys in different positions that defense has never seen them in, it's like they're gonna guess every time. What is this kid about to do? So I believe if you want to really get the most out of a guy like that, you got to put him in different positions. But Coach U's scheme might not call for that. You know what I mean? Like it might not; those might not be those type of plays that he has in his bag. So, it's just really watching the tape, watching what this kid can do and his strengths, and kind of designing certain plays, whether it's 2 or 3 plays, to really just in this moment we're gonna get you the ball, right? This is gonna be your play. Like every guy had a play, like even in the league, like my first couple years in New Orleans, like I had my plays. I had like 8 to 10 of them, right? Brandon Cooks, he had like 15 plays. You know what I'm saying? And those are like the plays Sean Payton would go to, like in certain situations, whether it's second down or third down, when they would call on my name. It's like those are the plays that I know I've ran them all week. I'm getting open on this play, right? And I see Eric Weatherly as more like an option guy. Get him in on a linebacker, right, and let him go 2 ways. There's no way a linebacker's covering that kid, and if it is, then we got the wrong guy in there. He's not the guy we thought he is, and sometimes it's like that. Sometimes guys come in with a lot of hype and they don't live up to the hype. So it could be that case too. But I just don't think they'd be utilizing him the right way. But he had 5 targets and he had 4 catches. I think he had the most catches out of all the receivers. So it's not like they're not targeting him. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
Willie and
Okay.
John, real
Okay.
quick,
Yeah. Go ahead.
one more, just one more. Uh, when I'm watching the offense, especially during Western Michigan, it
Hmm.
felt like the offense was very stale in terms of play calling, which is a strange feeling to me because I remember feeling that way with Mike New. Like we never used any motion. It just was like always going to the tight end, kind of like what what could Coach you do to maybe make to spice up the play calling so that the defense I know you said like throw in some passing there that looks exactly like the run plays, but like what else could he do? Because I do feel like we use motion. I do feel like
Hmm.
there's like some eye candy in the backfield. Guys are running around like there's movement there, like, but for the most part, you're exactly right. Like the play calling was stale. What can we do? What could we add in? What could we sprinkle in the playbook to throw people off a little bit from just, all right, we saw this guy's going this way. We're going to attack right here because they're about to run right there where the guy's motioning to. Like, what could we do to maybe? I mean, of course, we could motion the other way and have them run the other way. But Willie, you know better than I. Like, what can we do to like spice up the playbook to maybe make it make the defense have to like think twice before just running in.
Yeah, coach, you just gotta get in his bag, man. Like I don't want to doubt his plays or his play calling, but like him and the offensive coaches, they gotta get in their bag, man. They gotta watch the tape. They gotta see what they're good at and what they're not good at, right? And they gotta find a way to get their playmakers the ball in space. That's the biggest thing. It's all about matchups. On game day, it's about matchups. You can scheme up everything you want. You can have a great week. You can have a full game plan. But when it comes down to it, it's going to come down to the guys who's able to win their matchups, right? And that's what I look at on game days. Like, where can I attack? Where can I go with the football? How can I get Magwood in space? How can I get my fast guys in space to where they can make explosive plays? And that's really Coach you understanding the personnel that he has and just making the most of it and being on the same page with Kyle on what you're trying to accomplish each game because every game is going to be different. Not every team is running the same stuff. So every week has to be a different game plan. You can't bring Ohio's game plan into Akron's house. You know what I'm saying? Like they're watching tape too. There's got to be some different wrinkles, right, to your base stuff, so it can throw teams off a little bit and get them off your stuff that you want to run. Like everybody has power, everybody has zone read, everybody has sweeps, right? But if you want to run that, you can't just run it every time. You got to have certain wrinkles in the game plan to kind of throw them off so they're not just teeing off on the plays that you like to run that you've been working on since day one of training camp, right? So those type of wrinkles that comes down to Coach U getting in his bag, his offensive coaches getting in a bag, watching the tape, watching the defense that they playing, and seeing where they can attack their defense in the spaces that they provide, or taking advantage of the matchups of some of these guys and going to our guys and making sure that they got to win. At the end of the day, if it's coming down to matchups and guys not winning their one-on-ones, that's a whole different conversation, right? But this is more just trying to scheme up the guys, watching the tape, seeing what the defense isn't good at or where they're weak at, and exposing it and going after it, right? Until they stop that, and then we run our base stuff. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's the biggest thing, Colin, is just we got to see the different type of flavor to the offense, the different wrinkles that we need for our offense to be able to open up a little bit more and to be able to do what we want to do, which is establish the run, right? Like Coach Hughes already mentioned, he wants to establish the run. He wants to get the game flowed in our direction and be able to open up. Like when they do pass the ball, there's open lanes, right? So, he's got to trust his playmakers at the end of the day. He's got to trust Kyle Kelly. And, those wrinkles, they got to put that in the game plan because those guys are watching tape at the end of the day. And they're going to watch that tape from Western Michigan and they better not run that stuff against Akron because we're gonna make Akron look like they're the best team in the MAC, and I don't want that to happen.
All right. Post game chirps here, and then we'll get to the listener questions. So again, last chance if you have anything. We've got a handful of them already. Put them out there. Any thoughts, any comments from this game, anything you've seen, put them in the chats in YouTube and Facebook and on Twitter. So chirps post game edition. So a hot take or a lesson learned from this game against Western Michigan, or even a bold prediction for the Akron game. Colin, I'll start with you. What's maybe your one takeaway or prediction for Akron, or your takeaway from this Western Michigan game, whichever you want?
Yeah, my takeaway I think from Western Michigan, but also towards Akron, is that, and we've harped on it already, but we got to get somebody else going other than Keon on offense. We can't just rely on Kyle Kelly and Keon to have that connection, then Kyle Kelly just doing a read option or just a QB draw or whatever we cook up for Kyle. He can't do it alone. And Keon can't be the only one, making plays. Cause like, even if we got three guys on one side, we do trips to one side, you put Keon on the back side, and then you throw it up to him. We can't do that play every time. You know what I mean? Like, there has to be, and that might be the play that wins us a game, like Ohio, right? Or I don't know if that was exactly the play, but there has to be somewhere else we can look to say, okay, this guy is going to get us, 20 yards. Like Donovan Hamilton has shown flashes. Ty Robb did have a couple catches this game. Eric Weatherly, I need the coaches to scheme him up. McDougal, like the gadget plays are great for him. Like TJ Horton, give him play time. Like, I don't know. My biggest takeaway is like the offense. We just got to find somebody, like somebody who's going to make the play. Like, that should be the question this week is like, who's going to step up and start making plays for us? And Kyle Kelly had to ask that on the sideline at Ohio. Like, look around at the team, like, who's going to make a play? And everybody has to look inside themselves like this week. Other than Adam Saul, other than the guy who got the muffed punt, other than Roman Pearson, how can I make a play? That needs to be the question. Like, everybody has to be looking at themselves in the mirror, like, I need to do better, and even Boris, who's had an excellent season, like, it was kind of quiet for him. Like, we just need a week of self-reflection, honestly, and we can't be buying into our own hype. And I'm not saying they are, but like, if they are, we need that clearly has to be, taken back now. So, yeah, I think we have to look inward this week and really try to see what we do best, like Willie was saying, and who can make a play for us, and where can we put people to excel. I think that's my takeaway, John, is like back to the drawing board.
Mm-hmm. Willie, same question for you. Post game chirp could be about the Western Michigan game, it could be about the upcoming Akron game. What's kind of one of your main takeaways or predictions from either this game or the upcoming one?
Yeah, what I want to take away from the Western game is that we got to be able to start fast. We got to start fast on offense and be able to put pressure on teams. We got to stop playing from behind. It's hard to win games in this league. It's even harder to win them playing from behind. And we got to change that. We got to change the mentality of our offense as being a strike first offense, right? We can't just play run game all day and just wait to see what happens, right? There's no fluidness to the offense, and that's why the takeaway, honestly, from an offensive standpoint, is just working on that and finding a way to get the most out of the guys, right? Because I feel like when we do that, when we're able to do that, we can be a really feared team, because our defense is very good. I believe our defense is very good. They've had their lapses in the coverage that continues needs to be an emphasis for them is fixing that coverage. But it was positive to see the takeaways in the secondary of this game, and the guys being opportunistic and trying to give us a chance, because they did. The defense did give the offense some chances to at least be competitive and get back into the game, but the offense was just flat. They were stale. There was just no buy-in from the guys, honestly, and we couldn't find a play to save our lives, and that just needs to continue to be an emphasis is starting fast, putting teams getting on top of teams and having them play from behind instead of us playing from behind. And then going in Akron, man, just having that mentality of just going 1-0 every week, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
what happened against Western happened, right? It needed to happen. Okay, so how do we respond? We got to figure out how we're going to respond. We got to have a great week of practice. We got to prepare, right? We're playing at home, so we have that favor. We're 2-0 at the crib, right? They want to stay undefeated. I know that's a pride thing, right? They're going to want to protect the nest as they should. Okay, so in order for us to do that, we gotta have that 1-0 mentality that Coach U is always talking about every week, and go into Monday tomorrow. I guess it's their day off tomorrow, right? It shouldn't be a day off,
Mm-hmm.
right? They should be in the building, watching tape, weight room, taking care of the body, being fresh and ready to go for Saturday. That's my chirp. Is get the mind right. 1-0 this week. That's all that matters. Going 1-0 this week.
Yep. And my chirp kind of builds off that one a little bit right there and said, yesterday was horrible. There's no way around it. It was horrible. It's inexcusable. They've been getting better every single week. That's what we've been preaching when we were told something happened yesterday. I don't know what it was. With that said, that does not have to define how the 2025 Ball State Cardinal season is going to go. everything that they want, all their goals are still ahead of them. They're 1-1 in the MAC. They can still make a bowl game. They can do all this stuff here. So they need to make sure that we do not let this spiral and we see another performance like that again.
Mhm.
Yesterday sucked. Take it on the chin, get past it. All your goals are still ahead of you. So that's my post game chirp is the whole season is still in front of you. We have a favorable schedule coming up. Let's take advantage of it. So we're not getting into those last 2 weeks of the season, I believe, on the road at Miami and at Toledo, where you're really banking on having to get a win against a good team. So whole season is still ahead of us. So listener questions and comments, and then we will get out of here for the night. First one, our friend from Ohio, actually, Stephen Vitt. He said, my Bobcats get Western Michigan in a month from now, and we better be ready. Yeah, I'll tell you what, Stephen, if Ball State was able to pull off the win against Western Michigan and against Ohio, and we saw what happened yesterday, I would be a little concerned as well if I were you. So get them ready to go. Our friend
They might
Rob,
have 20 sacks on them.
yeah, our friend Rob, who's sidelines on Twitter, he said, "What's up, boys? I hope the wounds are healing. Does everyone feel after it's almost like a therapy session today? Do you guys feel a little bit better now?"
Yeah, no, I feel good, man. I was feeling good before this. It's just it sucks, it's just like a bitter taste, right? It's just like you can't wait for next Saturday, right? I can't wait to be back in Muncie on Friday for Saturday's kickoff, just to feel that juice again, right? It's like you want to get rid of this taste in your mouth, and that's like they should be waiting, they should be ready to go for Saturday. That's kind of me. Like I was good, it is what it is, right? We got to be better than that, but definitely the wounds are healing on this end.
Colin, same for you.
Yeah, I mean, I told you, I'm not even joking. Like, I'm still hearing that. Hey, go
You should have left at
Broncos!
halftime, bro. You
Hey,
stayed too long.
go Broncos! Dude, they were yelling in my ear, like, because I was standing up. I was right behind the team. I was in the first row on the 50-yard line. And by the way, I didn't see a Ball State section, like, at all. Like, there was some Ball State people interspersed here and there, but it was like, I didn't really even see like a family grouping. Like I had a dad stop me on my way down to my seat. Like, thank you for what you guys have been doing. That was amazing. That might have been the highlight of the day. So shout out to Mr. Tripp.
Mhm.
But for the most part, man, it was just me yelling alone and people yelling in my ear. And like, eventually we became cool. But like for a while, I was in hostile territory alone, holding it down. And like, you know what I mean? It wasn't easy. Like, but I'm gonna do that. It's just like I feel a little bit better. But man, it was just really bad. It was probably the worst game I've ever been to.
Mhm. Our guy David over on YouTube, always good to hear from him. He couldn't stick around. He's going to watch this later, but 88 yards, really? That's what he says. I mean, that is a pretty shocking number. You know, offensively, sometimes we're hit or miss, but under a sub 100 yards in a football game is pretty bad.
Yeah.
So, Rob over on
Yeah.
YouTube again. No MAC game should ever end like that. We recruit from the same pond, and our NILs are not that much different. Willie here is a perfect example of like you said, fishing from the same pond. Willie was originally recruited to Western Michigan, ends up going to Ball State. These guys, we're all after the same player. So again, I understand things happen, and sometimes it's not your week, but 42-0, that should never happen. And I'll stand by that. And if that upsets anybody, then so be it. But that should never happen. And no one should accept that as happening. And I'm not saying people in the building are doing that. I think they're just as mad as I am, but that should never happen. Donald over on Facebook, I assume he says they like to alternate the personnel on defense every series. To me, this seems like it could take some guys out of the rhythm. Now, I didn't notice that. I'm not saying they don't do that. They very well might. Colin, you were in the stadium. Did you maybe notice anything like that, seeing different guys running in and off the field on defense?
I didn't notice that this game, but I have noticed weird stuff like when I was at the Ohio game, when we started the second half, Hood, one of our big O linemen was out on the first drive, and then they had him back in on the next drive. And then I saw that they were like taking him out on some drive. So I've seen them do that. So I don't know like what the reasoning is for that. Maybe they're trying to get more looks from different people at all positions. But that sounds like it could legitimately be a problem. Like Willie, you know better than me. Like if you're sporadically in the game, maybe not even sporadically, but every other drive, does that affect the rhythm?
I'm just reading the question. It says personnel on defense every series. He's talking about our defense, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
believe so.
I
Yeah.
mean, it could be a number of reasons. Like, some guys have different sets. Like, they got bare fronts, they got dime, nickel package. There's different packages that call for different guys. So, if they do have, I didn't notice it honestly. Defensively, I think it's mostly the same guys in there. I don't know how they rotate the secondary. Um, but it could be a thing where they have too many personnel sets that, like you said, can take guys out of rhythm. But you gotta be able to get in rhythm to get out of rhythm. And I just see that we don't really get in rhythm to go out of rhythm. So whatever they're doing defensively, honestly, I think they all can improve in every area, all three phases. But defensively, they've been the strong piece. At least deep, like the deep front seven, been awesome. Uh, I guess it's just game to day, game to game. Every game calls for different, packages and things like that. They might want to see different guys, like Colin said, every other week. Get a young guy in there or whatever. Get another linebacker in there instead of nickel. So it could be a number of things, John.
I'm going to jump out of order with the questions here because I want to give this guy a chance to maybe give us some insight if he does know. This is Scott over on Facebook as well. He's listening right now. He says they rotate the linebackers every series. So Scott, do you know why they do that potentially? If you do, throw it in the comments and we can get back to that as well. But we'll get back to that here in a minute. So, okay, where were we? On YouTube, my friend of the show, Michael Nauman, a friend of mine from college, said, "What up, boys? Congrats on getting in the
Oh
Beast Hall
yeah,
of Fame, Willie. I know you probably
I know.
know Michael as well."
Yeah, we had class together.
Yep.
Michael
So
Nam, he's cool dude, man.
yep, he's a cool guy. So Michael, shout out. I know he worked at ESPN for a long time. I think he's a
Hmm.
teacher back at Ball State now, a real estate guy. So shout out, Michael. Thanks for
Nice.
watching. Shay
Appreciate you, Mike.
Kramer, one of our favorites, Shay Kramer, said, while losing 42-0 is never great, he said, but are we overreacting? He said, Western Michigan's probably a front runner to win the conference. The rest of the schedule is favorable. So I think we've touched on this a little bit throughout the show. But yeah, the schedule is very favorable. The rest of the season is out in front of them. Do I think we're overreacting in terms of like how the rest of the season is going to go? I think everything's in front of them still. This has taken away nothing. I don't think we're overreacting from the game yesterday. That was horrible. That was a horrible display of football yesterday by our Ball State Cardinals. So in terms of the game, I don't think we're overreacting at all. But I don't think we're overreacting for the grand scheme of the season because I think we're all kind of agreeing that everything's in front of them still. Am I speaking incorrectly for either of you?
Yeah, no, I agree. Everything is there. That's why I didn't feel too bad. Like we just lost the game we should have won, right? Or we could have won, right? We
Mhm.
should have been way more competitive than that. I would have been okay if we lost that game and it was 42-38,
Mhm.
right? At least we were competitive, right? We showed burst, we showed spark. We just didn't have any kind of spark. We were flat. I would have loved to have been out there yesterday and just kind of see what the vibe was. It's hard to tell watching the game, like what happened. Like it looked like something happened to where it just didn't look familiar from what we saw last week, and that was kind of the alarming thing. So I don't want to say I don't want to say I'm overreacting. I just expected a better performance from our guys, and I'm gonna give them the benefit of the doubt. It was homecoming. They probably didn't sell Ball State any tickets. That's why there was no Ball State fans. There might have been a shitty hotel. The food was probably terrible. Like, there's something happened, but right, we're a better team than that, and there's a favorable schedule. We just have to learn from this, take it on the chin, and keep it moving. But we cannot have this type of performance again. That's where I think, John, your perspective is like, yeah, this showed a lot, and it shows that we need to get better. And we're not. Don't drink the juice, right? The juice is poison, right? It's
Mhm.
okay for us to drink the juice a little bit because it's like, we don't have nothing else to talk about, right? We got to talk about what they put
Mhm.
out there. But them, they can't drink the Kool-Aid, man. That's poison. Like coach says that day one. Like you think the Eagles aren't, like in that mode? It's like turn off your phones. Don't listen to the nothing. Don't drink the Kool-Aid. We won the Super Bowl last year, but that is not last year. This is not last year. So don't drink the Kool-Aid. That shit is poison, right? If we
Mhm.
don't drink the Kool-Aid, if we beat Akron and we don't drink the Kool-Aid, I think we'll be okay.
Mhm.
Yeah, how I would reply to Shay's question is this kind of reminds me of like you're in a class and like you're struggling in the class and you just take a test and you get an F, right? But you still got a C minus in the class, and so you're talking to your homies after class and like I used to get down by my grades, like, man, I just bombed out of it, and they're like, well, it's okay, like you still have a C in the class, like, I mean, you know what I mean? It's like the season is
Mhm.
going all right, but like it's not so good that like we can just take this hit and be like, all right, we're good. Like this is a fluke sort of deal. It's like kind of reminds me like you're playing on the monkey bars or whatever, and you fall and like your mom sees you and you break your arm or something, and you're like crying or whatever, and your mom's like, it's okay. Like, dude, I still broke my arm. Like, you know, like I was at the game, like we got punched in the face, like that still happened.
Mhm.
But he's exactly right. There is still this next 4 games are so crucial. And NIU hasn't scored 20 points all year. Kent State is Kent State. Akron is their brother. You know what I mean? Like Eastern Michigan is Eastern Michigan. Like we should be able to do something if this team is who I think this team is. So I see it both ways, John, but I appreciate Shay on the comment.
Well, Shay has a follow up here as well, which I think is maybe the biggest thing that we have not thought about for what happened yesterday. He said, if we aren't overreacting, how much is a boat to get John back into international waters? Now, I have looked into this myself to potentially getting back on another cruise for maybe the rest of the year. So if this Akron game goes south, you might find me back in the middle of the Caribbean Sea for the rest of the season. So just a thought.
I got you beat, John. A buddy of mine has been to 2 games with me.
Oh, yeah.
Live. He went to Purdue, and then he went to this game against Western Michigan. He has not seen a Ball State point, and he
That's
went to
brutal.
2 games with me. So
So
he
let's
can't
see.
come to any more games. He's
He
banned.
he's 73-0 in the 2 games. Tough.
He's
He's
out
out.
of there.
He's
Time
out.
not to come to a home game.
Yeah.
Yeah, for
Donald
sure.
on Facebook, they don't play the same way on away games. They have penalties and turnovers. Yeah, we've definitely seen obviously the 2 wins coming at home, so maybe it could be something there to that. Keith on Facebook, Keith just emojied us. He just hit us with the crying face. He emojied us.
Yeah,
So I
that
feel you
was
there,
all
Keith.
day yesterday. That was
I
all
see you
day.
there. So, our good friend Scott on Facebook, he said, lots of work to be done. I believe Coach U will bring Ball State where we want them to be. But if we have expectations it's going to happen this year, I think it's unfair. He's still building week to week, but looking forward from years to come. That we can get to 500 this year is a huge improvement. Yeah, I would say that would be even improvement on what I believe me preseason. I believe I had us at 5-7. Colin, I think you had us around 6-6 at the when we first did this. So I think that's if we can hit that goal, get us to a bowl game. We haven't been to a bowl game in a few years now. Haven't even really been close the last couple of years. I think that's what we want. And I don't necessarily know that it's unfair. Because I think maybe if we could just focus on this week. I think overall, I would say what we've been told and what the key center point of the coaching staff and this coaching philosophy is get better every single week. And we have seen that every week except for this week. So I think for the most part, I would agree this ship is going in the right direction. It's going to take time, like Scott's saying. But yeah, I think if they can hit 500, I think everyone would be over the moon. If we get a bowl game out of this year, I assume both of you would be pretty thrilled, correct?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So, okay, Rob, back on YouTube. I hate to simplify things too much, but think back, question mark was, and still may be the O-line. That was a big thing preseason that we were worried about. They looked better, I think, a couple games here recently, but obviously last night or yesterday afternoon, they did not. I was curious if this question was going to come. I'll throw it up here. You guys can throw. I think I kind of know where you're going to go with this, but over on Twitter, what are our options look like QB2 and QB3? I assume neither of you are looking for a quarterback change. I not necessarily am either, but Colin, I'll start with you. Is this something you're thinking about at all, or are you still focused on Kyle Kelly?
I'm not. I'm not there yet. Aiden Leffler, he's been in the game. I think it's safe to say. I know there's an or for QB2, QB3. QB2 is probably Aiden Leffler. QB3, Walter Taylor. Walter Taylor is a big guy. He looks the part. Aiden Leffler has been getting those reps when Kyle Kelly's helmet falls off. They put him in the game when there's only 2 minutes left in the game and they don't want Kyle Kelly to get injured. They put Aiden Leffler in there, and I mean, I think he looks okay. This isn't like a knock on Aiden Leffler, but our game plan right now like utilizes the run so much,
Mm-hmm.
particularly with the quarterback involved. So I don't feel comfortable switching to Aiden Leffler, and then that whole part of our game that's pretty much the main focus of our offense has gone out the window. So they don't necessarily have like compatible games where I'm like, okay, Kyle Kelly goes down for some reason, or he's thrown 3 picks or something. Like put Aiden Leffler in there, and then now all of a sudden we're going to run the same stuff, but it's going to be better. No, you're probably not even running the same stuff. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
honestly, to me, he doesn't look that speedy. And like, no offense to Aiden Leffler, but I don't think he would say that's his game.
Mm-hmm.
So and if he's getting the reps over Walter Taylor, I think honestly, if we're having like a genuine conversation about it, it's a Kyle Keller, Aiden Leffler. And right now, Kyle Kelly, still to this point, even after 88 yards, I mean, I sat there, I was behind the bench. It wasn't him. Like, it's not him alone. You know what I mean? Like, so it's not, I'm not even close to there yet right now, but I appreciate the question, but I'm not there yet.
Willie, what about you?
Yeah, I feel the same. I'm definitely not there. I don't think this was a bad game by Kelly, because he didn't throw a pick. I think they just had the one fumble on a bad exchange.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I mean, he had a great game last game. He's the leader for that team, right? And until he proves otherwise, he's the guy, right? This is his last year. These are his last 6 games. He's got to be able to put this team on his back and carry them to a bowl game because they definitely can do it. And I think the offense just needs to play better, right? We'll see the real Kyle Kelly when this offense starts playing better, right?
Mm-hmm.
But that wasn't it this past Saturday. So I don't want to entertain the question because it'll be a reflection of the QB, and that's not the reason why we lost the game. Yes, there are probably some throws that he can take back. Everybody has those throws, but overall, Kyle Kelly is the guy until he proves otherwise. And we just got to play good offense before we start, trying to play the QB carousel.
Mm-hmm.
I've talked about this before too. It's like when you look at the offense and nothing is working, it's not just Kyle Kelly. It's nothing is working. Like if Quay Ashley was out there busting runs, getting the passing game open, like, maybe I'd sit there and consider it, but like nothing was working. There was not one thing that was working. So it wasn't just Kyle Kelly. It was like the line wasn't blocking, the run game didn't look good. The pass game, other than Keon Early, didn't look good. Like it just, and I think it was, he had like 68 passing yards, which is not good. But the rushing game, we only had 20 yards rushing. So it's
Mm-hmm.
like the rushing game was even worse.
Yeah.
What's he supposed to do? You want him to be Superman out there? Like, I mean, we got to be realistic too. Like, he's he's not gonna do everything, like especially with not great blocking. Like,
Mm-hmm.
it's just not feasible.
All right, last one here. It's Scott's follow up over on Facebook. We were talking about rotating the linebackers in. He says they want to play 30 guys on defense, keep them fresh for the fourth quarter per Coach Urimovich. 30 seems like a lot, Willie. Is that a number that you would expect to hear? They want to play 30 guys on defense throughout a game?
That is a lot. They must have a lot of good guys. I don't know. That's hard to speak on. I don't want to speak on that because I'm not a defensive guy, but like that is a lot. 30 sounds like a lot. You got your core 11 guys, maybe after that, you got your maybe 20, 25 at the most from some freshmen, but 30? Are they rotating 30 guys in the game like that? That's crazy. I did
I
not
don't
know
know.
that.
Yeah. So, yeah. Okay. Well, thanks for that, Scott. We appreciate it. So,
Yeah.
all right, that wraps up all of our listener questions. We appreciate them as every week. So, if you're listening to this later on and you want to get something in there, you can throw it in afterwards. We can read it on the next show. We can do it whenever. So, get your questions in whenever, and we will read them whenever we get to them. So, boys, horrible game yesterday. I think it was a good show, long show. I think this is
Yeah.
actually currently our highest concurrent viewers out there. So shout out to everyone out there watching with us right now.
Shout out you guys.
Any last thoughts before we get out of here?
Yeah, I don't want
Yeah,
everybody to hit the panic button yet. Don't hit the panic button yet. This is just a performance that the guys need to grow from, right? If we come out on Saturday and we play the game that we know we could play, we'll be all right, But I don't want anybody to hit the panic button too soon, right? This is one of those games. It's gonna be a hard pill to swallow, but after this show, I think, I feel better about it. We'll be able to talk Wednesday, some more positive stuff, looking into Akron. Uh, but yeah, we just can't put that type of game on tape again. And this needs to be a game where guys really learn from this game and never put this type of performance out there again.
Mm-hmm.
If it happens again and we put up a full moon and we get blown out by 40, there's gonna be some hard discussions, right? There's gonna be some hard conversations at that point. So let's not let it get to that point for the team. But everybody, let's not hit the panic button yet. Let's give these guys some grace. They did play a great game the week before, right? So we know what they can do when they're clicking on all cylinders. So don't hit the panic button too soon.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, mine goes with that too, John. I was just gonna say keep supporting the team. You know, when I was there on Saturday, uh, it was really a hornet's nest. Like I was front row behind the team, and the row behind me is talking trash to our players. Like for real. Like so, make sure you support the players because like it's not easy. Like to go into a hostile environment, people yelling at you to shut up 44 or whatever because like he's trying to hype the team. Like so it's not easy. Just keep supporting the team, like, and they're going out there trying to do this for us. And then how do we repay them at times? We get online and talk bad about this and that. Like, think about it from the player's perspective. They're doing it for us. Let's at least be positive until we can't be positive because, like, I'm looking around the NCAA right now and, like, there's a lot worse situations than ours. And, like, while this was a terrible game, might have been the worst game of the well, it wasn't the worst game, UMass Kent State, but it might have been one of the worst games of the day, but like at least we have something positive to look at. Like I think this team is building something. I really genuinely believe we ran into a buzzsaw. My main sticking point at the end, what I want to get through to everybody is just keep supporting the team. Try to be there for the team, like as best as you can, be positive. It's I have a feeling we'll see a turnaround. Like there's no way this Akron game goes like this Western Michigan game goes. And if you would have asked me before the Western Michigan game, and shout out to the Max Sports Connection because I was in their DM super spicy. Like they're like, if you guys get worked by Western Michigan, I was like, there's no way we get worked because they beat Toledo 14-13 and then they only scored 21 against UMass. So when they score 42 against us and UMass only gave up 21, like, yeah, there's questions. Like we need to look inward. But just know the team is doing that and keep supporting them. Make sure you come to homecoming. Make sure you get online and you're chirping. You know what I mean? Don't let people talk bad about the Cardinals. Like, it's Cardinal Nation. It's only us. They don't respect us. You know what I mean? So don't be part of Cardinal Nation talking bad about Cardinal Nation. It's only us. It's not going to be ESPN and some, or UMass has Adam Brenneman and the flagship pod to like talk about and like like all the people come together as a community. Like we need to do that. We need to come together as a community and support this team because honestly, when I was at the game against Western Michigan, it was just spots of us. You know what I mean? And like I'm not going to be able to go to every game. So we all need to step up as a community and support this team. And don't stop supporting this team and just, well, season's done. We got what, 42-0? No, the whole season's in front of us. We got this stretch right here, like this 4-game stretch. And yeah, I was kind of down today on the pod, but just know on Wednesday night, I'm going to be back at it. And yeah, I'm picking us to win against Akron. You know
There
what
we
I mean?
go.
So, like, keep supporting the Cardinals. Like, it's all we got is us.
Perfect. All right. Well, like Colin said and Willie said, we'll be back live Wednesday night at 8:30. I'm still trying to line up an Akron person to come on, so to be determined on that. I'll find somebody hopefully at some point, but I'm working on it still. So if you like, huge crowd tonight listening to us. We appreciate everyone listening along live with us here on your Sunday night. If you wouldn't mind, if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel. It really helps us out. Leave your comments, leave your questions, like the video, do it all. Tell your friend, tell your neighbor, tell a Cardinal, whoever you got out there, let them know about Ball State of the Union. So again, Wednesday at 8:30, we'll be back live with you guys, breaking down everything Akron, getting ready for homecoming. If you haven't got homecoming tickets already, go out there, get them. Like Colin said, be sure to support the team. So until Wednesday, chirp, chirp, and go Cardinals.
Peace.